Hi.
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 That's Tiara.
How are you now?
That's Dean.
And today we have with us Heidi. Heidi.
Hi.
Hi.
Don't.
Don't.
How are you now?
Only my grandmother got to say that.
So how are you now?
Good, and you?
Not so bad.
You're terrible. It only took like 4 times of us actually doing it correctly for you to be like, no, now it's my turn. Fuck you.
Well, it's just whenever they do it with the skids, they try and do it with skids and they don't respond.
Oh, man, that was
yeah.
I love that part of this episode. They have no idea what it is.
Yeah, it's
How are you now?
Hey, not so bad. Huh? Good, and you?
but it's all part of the programming of the Hicks. if they know how to say it, you know they're the Hicks.
Mm-hmm. Does that make us Hicks?
Maybe. Mm-hmm. I mean, you live in the sticks for sure.
Hey.
Well, you know.
I mean, I used to.
Even by Seattle standards, Tri-Cities, come on. By Seattle standards, Tri-Cities is tiny. Sorry.
So.
Yeah.
So we have Heidi here with us today to talk about season 1, episode 3
Yay.
of Letterkenny. The best episode of the best show. Fartbook.
I swear. Tara's like, you want to record with us? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And she tells me which episode Fartbook. I'm like, oh, that's like one episode I didn't want to do.
But what did I say? Don't worry, it's my worst. It's my least favorite episode too.
You know what?
You had a valid point. No, you had the point of it's not a bad idea to do your least favorite and most favorite episode.
Yeah, and then
season.
revisit. Yeah. So definitely we're going to revisit whatever your favorite episode is. You have to think on that one. Which one is your favorite?
I will think on the favorite one.
All right.
But this is definitely my least favorite episode so far.
Well, see, you know, and I was when I was trying to line up other folks to do this, you're not the only one to say that. So,
this makes me feel better.
So
yes.
No, it's having gone.
Well, and most people are like, I really didn't like that episode that much, but I love that show.
Yeah.
So
but like Chelsea. So let's go back to real quick. We'll recap the last episode in a minute.
Okay.
But Heidi, what made you start watching Letterkenny, and why do you still watch it?
How did I start watching Letterkenny?
Yeah.
Yeah, you. You should watch the show. You should really watch the show. I think you said it like 3 times. I'm like, fine,
Only
I'll watch
3?
the show. So
Only
I watched it with
3?
my family.
Yeah. And the family all loved it.
And we all enjoyed it. And we kept watching it. And we are now in season 4. And we're almost at the end of season 4.
Right on.
Now that they're
great
on Hulu.
cliffhanger coming to the end there. One of my favorites. Up until season 6, I think the season 4.
The
season 4 was the best one.
We're not there yet.
I'm just saying.
We decided we were waiting. We waited for as long as we could on
which was like
6.
4 days.
So
I feel like we did really good with that. We waited until after New Year's.
So now,
But I did see somebody else post on Facebook that does not have any connection to you that also said something about Letterkenny. So it's not just you spreading.
Oh no,
this.
definitely. It's coming. It's everywhere right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people I know are into the show.
So recap of the last episode, which is, I think out of the first 3 was definitely the strongest episode, where we had Chelsea Ireland from No Subject Podcast on, but she said, one of her favorite quotes is from this episode. But going back to the last episode where it was the super soft birthday,
Which I know we're all partial to.
yes, everyone is partial to super soft birthday, and I think I think everybody loves Derry. Derry is a great character. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So we
you go off script. You're going to confuse me.
Well, So what made you start? So
Is it script?
Recap of the last episode. That's what I'm doing. So
Okay.
mostly focused around Derry, right? Okay. So, super soft birthday. 3 fights. Wayne's toughest guy in Letterkenny. And then we jump to this episode,
Yeah.
Fartbook,
Yeah.
which is kind of an interesting turn.
Non sequitur.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, everybody?
So I just want to share
Yes,
that I rewatched this episode,
as did we.
and I rewatched with Cassie, who has never seen Letterkenny before.
Oh, no.
You started with 3.
Don't start with episode 3.
Yeah, and so I said, well, I was on limited time. And so I basically said, so she's like, well, I'll watch it with you. I'm like, okay, just so you know, I like this show. This is my least favorite episode of this show. She's like, okay, why is it your least favorite episode? I'm just like, just watch with me.
Did she get it?
She laughed a couple times, but honestly, she was rolling her eyes a lot.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
So we'll see if she watches any more of it.
Well, my whole theory about this episode was that it was like a bit that they had done that they really wanted to get in there that they really liked, so they stretched it into something. But it's almost as if it was okay, we don't know how to go on with the story quite yet, so let's just do this thing that we wanted to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it just kind of felt like.
to me, it seemed like
Are we doing theories now?
Well, yeah, not quite yet. I mean, I do have theories about.
Well, just
why.
talking about how off
Yeah.
from the rest of the
It is.
series it really
Yeah.
kind of is.
So we can talk about
Yeah, that's true.
theories. We can talk about theories when we get to the theory sections of what we talk about.
because I have other theories.
All right. So let's just start at the beginning then. So we start. We're at the produce stand, right? We've got the 4 of the crew: Wayne, Katie, Derry, Squirrely Dan, and they're talking about needing to pull out the stump.
I was curious if
Yeah.
that was a farm chore or just like a chore that Wayne needs to do, and so Derry's going to help him. Like, does Derry work for Wayne?
Well, he works obviously on doing dairy work, DAIRY work,
Yes.
because he's got like a cow patch on his coveralls. So, and he's talking about having to clean the teats for milking. So he's talking about cleaning the teats. So he's obviously working in dairy. So I don't know if dairy. We've never seen anything to do with milking or anything like that
He's mentioned it a couple times. Though.
on their farm.
Right. Okay.
On Wayne and Katie's.
I've never
place.
had that thought before, but yeah, he might actually work at a dairy farm.
Yeah, that's just not there, and then he comes and hangs out at the produce stand every day.
Yeah.
All right. So yes,
Okay.
so I think that they had a plan for pulling out the stump on their farm. Mm-hmm. It sounded like. I mean,
and then they like asked him for help.
yeah,
That was the impression that I got, that it was going to be at their farm.
right.
Okay.
And they were going to get McGarity or something. They mentioned somebody McGarity to pull out the stump, and there he says, "No, we're using my van." And what?
I don't remember anything about a McGarity.
I
They
could've
said
sworn.
something about
So
like,
question.
what are you going to
question.
use?
Have you started watching it with subtitles on every time?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I wish I had had the subtitles on when I watched this. And then I listened to part of your second episode
Yep.
where Chelsea pointed out watching it with subtitles. I'm like, that has helped me so much. I usually do watch it with subtitles
Yep.
on.
It's like up in Canada, they're speaking a different language.
Well, my problem with
Well, it's 'cause
subtitles.
they talk so damn fast.
Yes, that's what it is for me. They talk so fast, but like my problem is also because I'm a visual stimmer anyway. When the subtitles are on, I have to watch them, and so then it detracts sometimes from watching the entirety of a show or a movie. So I usually don't want to do that
thing where
the first time. I was just saying I don't like to do that the first time I'm
I used to be the
watching.
same way. I would hate subtitles because I have to read them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'd watch stuff with Cassie, who has an audio processing thing. So she really can't catch everything unless she has the subtitles on.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
And Patrick, who apparently is just deaf.
Huh?
So I got in the habit of watching stuff with subtitles on. So now we do that at my house too.
Yeah.
But it really helps.
It does, definitely, with this show.
They talk so damn fast.
Yeah. Then they were
Because I don't remember McGarity either.
I could have swore there was a mention, and I don't know. It could be a turn of phrase that they use about
Do you have it on your fancy thing?
I don't have it on. I don't have it on there, but I do have about when they were talking about Derry wanting to use his van.
Right.
And Wayne's like, no, that's not happening. What's wrong? Well, what's wrong with my van? More than a coat of paint.
More than 2 coats of paint.
2 coats of paint.
2 coats of paint.
So then it gets into.
Ed, you better settle down over there. I'm going to come talk to you.
You know what? There's 2 things I don't like about you, and it's your face.
There's one thing you're not going to like about your own face. It's when I come over there and give it the beats.
The beats.
Give it the beats.
And I think it was even before then that Squirrely Dan had already ripped a couple.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He'd ripped a number.
That whole conversation.
It was a gassy day that day.
Yeah. He probably had some spam.
Oh God.
Yeah. His colon bowling.
Ugh.
And so he was then he was talking about how they were peanut butter sandwich, one piece of bread, the other piece of bread, you're just stuck. And then
You're just stuck.
And then Katie
farts.
Yeah, well, no, Katie says that he was digging at the bottom of the yogurt cup for that pearl of wisdom, and
I like that. Bringing back in the yogurt cups.
yeah, and then it got to the that's what you appreciates about me, and we get a.
Let's take about 5 to 10% offer over there, squarely down.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
What?
yeah.
Huh?
So,
Fucking love that.
And then there's the one.
Love
big,
it.
So then there's
Don't lose it, guys. Don't lose it. Keep
there's
it up.
the one big final blow from Squirrely Dan, and we get a.
You wouldn't mind a quick heads up from a fellow who's about to steam press his Calvin.
And that.
Respiratory turbulence.
Yeah.
And that's just the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. So lots of fart jokes.
So many fart jokes.
But so
Many fart jokes.
And it's so the thing is, I don't mind fart jokes from a fart joke show. But that's not the direction this was going.
There are in later seasons and later episodes there's a lot of poop humor, and that's probably one of the I find it funny in context, and this kind of goes back to some other stuff we've talked about. Out of context, I hate it. It's like Cassie seeing the first episode being Fartbook. It's like, oh no, episode 2.
Yeah.
But so then they start talking about how great farts are, and Wayne says,
Oh, there's nothing better than a fart. Except kids falling off bikes, maybe. Fuck, I could watch kids fall off bikes all day. I don't give a shit about your kids.
I don't give a shit about
That
you.
is so funny. That's like a
Cassie
recurring
did giggle
theme.
that
Oh yeah,
just for the record.
all the way up through the current season.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yes, and like I'm talking about hanging keys in front of their face because that'll keep them busy. Like it's just like I hate your kids.
I don't give a fuck about your kids.
What?
And that's what I like about Wayne's.
So after their big fart talk, Derry is impressed was so impressed with Squirrely Dan's farts that they kind of get on a roll and decide to come up with
Fartbook.
they all came up with it at the same time.
I was curious if Katie joined in on that because
Nope.
I couldn't remember.
no, because she wasn't out there. It was just the three
she was
boys.
out there.
She was out there. She just sat there like,
Oh, was she
the whole
Okay,
time. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, she was out there because I watched. I'm just like, yeah, nope, she did not join in on that chorus.
Even in the captions, it said "gentlemen."
I missed that.
Yes. Like it was making sure that you knew that Katie did not say anything.
They decide they're going to make Fartbook. They don't know how to do a website. Just we're going
He
to
calls
call
it up the internet.
Gonna call up the
Call it
internet.
the internet. Yes.
So
Love him. Like Squirrely Dan, seriously, like I don't like this episode, but I love Squirrely Dan so much. Like I feel like all the parts that I did like about this episode probably came out of his mouth.
yeah, Squirrely Dan and Devin. And we'll get to that in a little bit because so when they decide to start, they're going to start. When they decide to start building the site, this because it kind of goes back to how we were talking about it's dumb humor done in a clever way, and I think Stuart and Devon. If you look at a Shakespearean thing where they have the idiots, the fools, Stuart and Devon are perfect as that.
Like in Much Ado, the cops.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that, and Tyler Johnston and Alexander DeJordy, who plays Devon, are brilliant at what they do.
By the way,
I can never remember his name.
well, by the way, I would just like to say, Tyler Johnson, you are so pretty.
Johnston.
So pretty.
Doesn't
matter. He likes our stuff on Instagram.
He follows Tyler Johnston, who plays Stuart, follows us on the Tweety.
On the Tweety.
And likes our stuff.
I'm never on the Tweety, I'll be honest.
Along with Joel Gagne, who plays Joint Boy.
Because, I had a crush on him. Yeah, that's right.
Because he's cute.
Goddamn right he is.
So they realize that they have to cut out the middleman, which is the
internet.
The internet.
and have the site built by someone locally, which has Stuart and Devon the Skids. Wayne's not too keen on that idea, but they decide to do that. So they call up Stuart.
Hard no.
Hard no.
He's outvoted though.
Yeah, he was outvoted. So
this is a very democratic episode.
It was.
Right.
Yeah, lots of voting.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and see when that episode came out. So they bring Stuart and Devon in, and they're trying to figure out what they're talking about.
So it's Facebook. But for farts.
And just they try to hash it all out and figuring out how everything's going to work. And
I was trying to figure out if this was the first mention of Jive and Pete. During this scene, I have a note because I took notes. Squirrely Dan mentions going to Jive and Pete's house for like a party.
Oh, with Garrett and Jarrett.
And with Garrett and Jarrett, and
I missed
and
the
Jive
name.
And Pete pissed all over himself.
Right.
Yeah.
I missed that. I missed the name of the person.
Me too.
Fuck, it's your house.
I only remember because of all the stuff in the part of the show that I'm watching now with Jive and Pete. So I was like, wait, I think this is the first mention of Jive and Pete.
Could be. Yeah, I don't know if that.
I don't remember it coming up again, but that very well could.
I'll have to make a note of that myself.
Because the Garrett and Jarrett thing comes up a bunch in the beginning of this series, the first series, but I don't remember that being an ongoing thing throughout future series. And I'm using the word series for those of you Americans that do not understand, because British, like BBC and Canadian television, they
say series instead of season.
instead of season. So,
but they may. I don't know.
Say series one, series two.
Do they do that in Canada too?
I don't know.
For a lot of things. It's my assumption they're doing it for this too, but ours is on. We don't have Crave, so we can't see how they present it. We just see how Netflix or
gotcha.
Hulu presents it.
Right.
Yeah, Canadian friends.
Yeah. We got one or
Do
five.
we have any Canadian friends who actually watch the show yet, though?
I don't know. Maybe.
It's a good question.
I know that we have some Canadian listeners.
Paige.
How are you now?
Cheryl. Your friends over in Ontario.
Yeah. Up in North Bay.
Yeah.
Kevin and Cole from Super Fun Time Trivia. Give them a listen if you're looking for a funny podcast.
Out of the Great White North.
Those guys are fucking hilarious. But yeah, they getting back to the episode where they're starting to talk to Stuart and Devon about how they want to build things and do we want to put GPS logs for farts, popcorn fart movie theater. Dwayne's not keen on that idea. He says,
Because it's too complicated. It's like algebra. Why you gotta put numbers and letters together? Why can't you just go fuck yourself?
that's one of my favorite lines from this show. Why can't you just go fuck yourself?
So during this scene, Devon, whose name I can never remember, has the whole just drop the just.
So
yes.
Yeah,
when he does that, I realized I might appreciate this episode more if I had seen that Facebook movie.
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
The Social Network.
This is that
The Social
Facebook
Network?
movie. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, he did that so well.
Have you guys seen?
No.
Have either of you seen the Social
seen
Network?
It.
I have not.
Seen it, and he fucking nailed it. It was awesome.
How closely does it just that follows that movie?
There's like 3 or 4 different parts that he says.
So there's the part where he gets.
Because I feel like
the 30% is like yelling at them right before he
We're not
gets
coming
kicked in the
back for
butt.
30%.
We're
Yeah.
coming back for everything at the end of the episode.
All that is from the Social
Okay.
Network.
Yeah.
okay, I thought so, and that was I'm like, maybe I would like this episode specifically more if I'd seen that movie.
If you get the idea that
And
that's
like
what it's
farts
from.
more.
I think that's the thing that really kind of does it. The not really liking the farts. However,
really liking the farts.
they do talk about in the episode how you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to fart in front of the ladies.
You're not supposed to fart in front of girls.
What?
What?
Oh,
Yeah, Dan's
all
the-
the rules that Wayne has for farts that will come up later.
Right?
So then so we get they figure out what they're gonna do. Come up with 30%, and Stuart and Devin take off. We'll be back in 24 hours. The next day they come back.
No.
What
Oh,
did I
yeah.
miss?
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They come
Nope.
back, and that's where they get the. That's where you learn that the skids don't know the how are you now.
How are you now?
Hey. Not so bad. Huh? Good, and you?
So it's programmed in for the Hicks. So they bring it back. Stuart, we froze the screen so we could see because we figured
Yes.
out Stuart is a juggalo.
Yes. Yes, he was wearing juggalo makeup and all of his stuff. Oh. And he's a man interested in women and women's. What was it? You wrote down all the.
He went to Letterkenny High School.
Yeah. His little like Fartbook profile. We paused the
you
screen.
froze it so you could read all of it.
There wasn't a heck of a lot on there. They kept it pretty bare. But yeah, they
Because it's all about the farts on Fartbook.
Right.
You can't hear it, but I rolled my eyes really hard.
and they so Stuart gives the presentation. They try to decide who's going to be the first member after Stuart, and it's between Derry and Squirrely Dan. Derry says let me go eat a can of Chef Boyardee.
But wait. Before
go ahead.
that,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
when
yeah.
who wants to be next? And they were like me.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it reminded me so much of the seagulls in Finding Nemo. Like it was
Fine,
every time I see that every time I watch this episode, it's been like 5 or 6 times now, even though it's my least favorite. That's what I see is mine, me. Like, oh, it's so perfect. Yes, that was what I was trying to say.
Okay. All right. Well, you said it, and you
I
did it.
did.
He's a good girl.
I am sometimes.
That's what I appreciate about you.
Oh, is that what you appreciate about me?
Yeah, that and that booty.
You're gonna keep that in, aren't you?
Oh, you know it.
Oh, you know he is.
So let's see. From there, we get into Dan.
So the fact that Squirrely Dan can fart on cue is helpful.
Yes.
Right. Yes. But he gets to his last one, and as he's farting, then Wayne gives the.
Fuck, is this awkward?
Wayne
Which
has
is
issues
exactly
with
what I was
awkward.
thinking, really loud.
Wayne has issues with anything that's just too. He just can't handle anything that's too awkward.
His I'm not going to get into theories, but his social norm conforming is very, very, very interesting to me.
but then they start talking about who else. So they get Dan's, and they start talking about
who else are they going to sign up? Yeah,
Gail, duh. So
right,
we got Gail. We've got the Glenn and the Christians, and they start naming, and then they get to. Talking about the ginger.
What about the ginger?
The ginger. And then it's Stuart who brings up.
Ever hear anything about that guy fucking an ostrich? No, I heard it was Boots who fucked the ostrich. No. The ginger fucked an ostrich. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
It'd take more than one guy to
Allegedly.
fuck an ostrich.
It would take more than one guy to fuck an ostrich. And so that sends them on the about ostrich fucking. And
If we really wanted to get to the bottom of it, we could find someone who farms ostriches who might know how they get fucked.
He's just so uncomfortable. You just
but what's
You can hear it just like pouring out. Might find.
how an ocean.
That's one of the things that I really love about this show is just how awkward he is. And even now, we just finished season 6. Like, I still can feel it and love that awkwardness so much because I am
Embrace the
learning.
awkward.
Yes, I am learning how to embrace my awkward. It's been a very long time coming, but we just cut out 7 minutes of me cleaning up after knocking over my thing because I talk with my hands too much. So,
Yep.
yeah,
Give
me the awkward, especially dem awkward boys.
the awkward Wayne.
You like the awkward.
I do.
So they start signing everybody up, and then there is a whole fart montage
Yeah.
of everybody getting on. Riley and Jonesy.
Yeah, that's the part when I start checking my phone.
And so they get the next day, or I think it's a few hours later,
Yeah.
Stuart and Devin are back. Stuart says, "We have a problem. We need to talk to Gail." And so they start talking to Gail about her spamming people. And
Okay, so for the record, since it was the first time Cassie had watched the show, this was her introduction to Gail.
and I love the thing I love about Gail's
Shit.
profile is her last name on it, Gail Shaboink.
Which is also her word for sex.
Right.
One of them.
One of the many, yes.
Yes. So yeah,
The picture on the backing of her first fart, though, it's a hot picture.
Oh, the fishnets.
That's some, like fishnet.
Yeah.
I actually missed that.
Yeah.
I might have to go back and look now.
And so she's spamming, and they get her on her, and they say they're going to have to suspend her account, and then she just goes off.
You continue to misuse Fartbook. We'll have to suspend your membership.
Suspend my membership? Why don't you suspend my fist in your ass, you little fuck? You ever threaten me like that again, I'll spread your cheeks and I'll feed you a Kentucky Klondike by your old twat. I'll drop an Alabama hot pocket in your deuce maker, Charlie.
God, Gail.
What is an Alabama hot pocket?
Oh, don't ask the internet, man. Don't do it. Now I
Internet.
gotta look it up.
Internet. We need to know what
Damn
an
it, Urban.
Ask the internet. Google it.
What was it? Alabama.
Alabama hot pocket.
Urban
spell it
Dictionary is your friend.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's how we found out what Dick Dingers was.
Oh, God. Why did you look this up?
Fingers.
Oh, my God.
Wait a minute. Warning.
Oh, my
What you're
God.
about to hear is coming from Urban Dictionary.
Oh no, I've never heard Tiara react like that.
Oh, God. Ugh. An Alabama hot pocket is a sex slang term where one person poops into the vagina and then has sex.
Oh, that's unsanitary.
The sanitary is the first thing that pops in your mind.
Well, Heidi's very sex positive, so no kink shaming. And
No, I'm not going to shame people, but
I am
also
not-
you get an infection like that.
I know, right? That is literally what I was thinking of. Actually, that's just so. I wasn't thinking the unsanitary, but I was just there are
You
things
get an
that
infection.
connects to that are very sensitive.
It'll fuck up your pH balance.
Oh God, why did I actually?
I'm a doctor, so I can say I do not recommend that.
And don't go to
What?
lemonparty.org.
Oh my God! Wait, what
I
is
just
this?
listened to that episode.
This has gotta
of the
be a-
podcast.
So Gail rides off on her bike,
Anyway,
swearing at the boys.
Gail rides off on her bike.
Yelling unintelligibly. Then they figure out they need to investigate Katie.
There's a problem.
There's a problem with Katie.
Another problem with Katie. Where's Katie?
There's a problem with Katie.
Because she is recording cat farts.
All of her farts. And she's updating every hour with different cat farts.
They're barn cat farts that she's updating hourly.
Because they're just so
There's so many cute farts, I can't keep up with them.
Right?
That's right.
Okay. I love my dogs, but it is not cute when they fart. It is not.
But
I'm pretty sure one of them has the tagline of something about a wet pussy fart.
I missed that one.
Yeah.
And screenshot it, but I think it was the third one that they played. I'm just like, that's inappropriate.
After hearing Alabama Hot Pocket, wet pussy fart is inappropriate.
Right?
I'm a prude. Come on.
Right.
Wait. Don't forget, we have met you.
Riley
Once or
Jonesy
twice.
show up then.
Keep us on track, Dean. Go you.
Because Katie has been only liking Stewart's farts.
No.
No,
They're in the shower and they're like, so has Katie liked any of your farts? No,
Right.
has he liked any of yours? Has she liked? They don't mention her liking Stewart's until they're
until they show up.
there.
Right.
Like they pull up as they're talking to Katie, I thought.
Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was talking about. They show up to bust her for not liking any of either of their farts. This prime USDA
Non-animal tested,
organic,
farm fed.
whatever it is.
I don't remember. Yeah,
There's
it was
a lot.
Yeah, those two.
Riley
I
and
mean,
Jonesy.
I don't understand how they're not in a relationship, but okay.
They are in a
They
way.
never say they're not.
True.
They never say they're not, but in later seasons, there's other stuff that comes up that
True.
makes me go, oh, but, okay.
Yep.
But we'll talk about that later.
We will.
All right, what's next?
Then we jump to the Glenn investigation.
Ah, yes, Glenn.
So we cross
Glenn.
we cross over into Basic Instinct.
Thank you. Which you didn't even catch the first couple of times. And I was like, he's doing a Basic
What?
Instinct leg thing with the cigarette and uncrossing and then recrossing his legs. And
We're done now. Are we?
are we
we?
Wayne?
Jacob Tierney
So
is
during the
Friends with
fucking amazing.
everybody except for
During
Wayne.
the fart montage,
Yes.
it shows Glenn sitting in a pew
In his church.
with his computer. And it sure looks like his pants are unbuttoned and he's pulling his pants down.
Oh
doesn't it?
yeah.
it?
He unbuttons his pants, unzips them, and sticks his hand in as the camera
Yeah.
pans by.
Does that mean that he's farting?
No. He's
He's enjoying
he's enjoying
the
the
farts.
Which is why they call him in.
Right.
Well, they call him in for being a creeper.
Right, because he's not
Well-
uploading any.
Potato.
Right.
Right.
He's not uploading farts. He's just
He's just consuming.
friending everyone
Yep.
and commenting on their farts.
and commenting on their farts. But he's not friends with Wayne yet.
Because Wayne doesn't have one, but he'd like
Right.
to. Do you have that? Hold on.
Let's see. Yeah, because that's what he says. Why didn't you ever get set up, Wayne? And he says,
You're not supposed to fart in front of girls.
That was later.
but that's why you
That was
find out.
later.
That's why he explains
Yeah, that's true.
why.
They don't actually they never say that Wayne doesn't have one until after. It's later when they say Wayne never has one. Glenn just says, I'm friends with
I'm friends with
everyone. I'm
everybody."
not friends with Wayne yet.
Yep.
But I'd like to.
But I'd like to be.
So after all the hubbub with everybody, the boys decide it's time to pump the brakes on Fartbook. Fartbook dies today.
And of course, 3 out of the 5 voted
Well,
to do it because
yeah.
they voted.
Well, when I say the boys,
Yeah,
I
they
mean
voted.
I
The
mean
main three.
the Hick boys.
Yes.
But yeah, then Stuart and Devin are not happy about that.
Right.
No.
And that's when
The skids don't like it.
Yeah.
They want money.
Devin goes off and goes full Zuckerberg in front of Wayne, and Wayne just smacks the shit out of him.
Oh, yeah.
And then gives him the most awkward ass kick.
That's like a
It
taint.
really
He kicks
is
him in the
most
taint.
awkward ass kick.
I think he kicks him in the taint.
And it
the way
couldn't have been hard.
No?
well, the first one he gets smacked, and he goes, "I don't know, it just happened."
Like it snaps him out of it. And then he gets kicked in the butt. And he's like, ah! I can't do that without.
You can hear him whimpering as they walk away as the scene changes.
Yeah. No. So boys are back. So the end of that scene, we switch. The boys are on a boat now. They're on a boat.
Yeah, they're on a canoe.
I'm gonna need about 20 more minutes.
Right.
I know, right? It's another like what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, they're out there, but they're lamenting. They're shutting Fartbook down.
Did we do, did we
I
pull the
miss
plug too
Fartbook.
fast? And I used to
was on
spend
it
all my
too
time.
much.
Yeah. I used to spend so much time on there, probably too much time, but I misses it.
Yep. Then Stuart and Devin show up, telling the boys that Glenn has stolen Fartbook, and they all fall out of the boat into the water.
I feel like that was the only reason they were in that canoe was literally for that piece of physical comedy of them falling out of the canoe.
Yes.
I don't doubt that at all.
Wouldn't this be funny if we were sitting in the canoe?
Fart jokes.
Yeah, because they haven't been in any of the other. I don't remember them being in a boat. Any other?
I guess we'll have to remember that if it comes up again.
Yeah. So they go aggressively into the church.
I love the way they all walk in like a pack.
I like the music. I was kind of
Right?
grooving to the music that they walk in on.
Absolutely. I would love to figure out what that is. Figure it out.
Figure it out.
Dean, figure it out
I
for me.
will figure it out.
All right.
All right.
Figure it
Dan,
out.
We'll figure it out.
All right. Tell your face. All
Don't
right, McMurray. Don't. Oh. Oh, no.
Don't stop thinking of
I'm
it.
sorry. I'm
Don't.
sorry.
Don't think about that.
Not in this episode.
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Nope. Something from season 6. Just.
So they go aggressively into the church to confront Glenn.
And Glenn tells them, "No, this is just fart culture."
Ever hear
Fart
of plenty of
culture.
farts?
Is a Christian fart mingle. Now, one thing I think that they've left out and maybe they don't have that up in Canada is they could have gone with fartersonly.com.
Right?
You don't have to be lonely with fartersonly.com. I mean, because come on, they're hicks. Hick farts, right? So
City folks just don't get it.
that's a miss. So anyway, yeah. So he goes through the Instagram fart, which is fart filter, and then
Fart filter.
Yeah, he created his own Valencia.
Valencia filter.
So the boys are all the boys, the skids and the hicks are disgruntled, have to walk away. They're back at that's it. Fartbook is dead. They're back at the produce stand now, talking about how it was a stupid idea anyway, and that there was no point into it because a girl will not sleep with you if you're letting your blasting your ass all the time. And we learn about jackass and gorilla shitting from Squirrely Dan. Squirrely Dan.
That's how Jarrett met Eunice.
Squirrely Dan has the most trivial knowledge of
Right.
anybody I have ever seen on a show, I think.
Especially trivial knowledge of like really like obscure sex acts and other things of that sort.
Yeah.
So the whole Schneef scene in episode 2, that's a scene that I just zone out on. I can't even process. I
I think Dan is like the Cliff Clavin from Cheers. Dan is like the Cliff Clavin from of Cheers for Letterkenny. He's just got the most inane knowledge about shit you would never even think to bother to look up. And whether it's Schneef or cologne and eau de toilette.
And the different alcohol contents of them, and
he it's amazing what Squirrely Dan knows.
But yeah, this is where we find out that Wayne You don't fart in front of girls.
Right. And then not only that, he goes,
You don't put don't put everything on the internet.
right.
Well, if you don't put it on the internet, how's going to people know what you did?
Right. So if you don't do it or tell it after you did it, then how are the people going to know? Right.
True story. I mean, isn't that what social media is about?
So that's truly what the deep message is to this episode.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So that final scene is the melancholy music, I would say, while Stuart is
Listening to
Kitty's cat farts.
and just mooning over her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there's an ad where it says log into fart filter right there
On Fartbook.
on Fartbook
I missed
in that last scene.
That's because Glenn took it over. So yeah, so that's where it ends.
Yep.
Him kind of mooning over Katie. So something's there.
Oh, the first time we watched through this, I remember picking up on it even before that episode. There were a couple of times
Oh yeah.
Where they're
he would just-
dancing.
Well, he would,
Right.
or like even earlier in this episode where he was like, let's get Katie in. I'll call her. You sure
Oh,
as hell
right.
not, or something like that. Like, it's obvious that he's had like a
Like
long-term
hell you
crush.
will.
Yeah, there it is. He's had a long-term crush on Katie, and Wayne knows all about it and is like, oh, fuck no, it's not happening.
Not with any meth head.
Not with any meth
And to
head,
be
not with any
fair,
hick. To
Katie
be
is
fair.
hot.
To be fair.
To be fair.
So let's. Who are your favorite characters in this episode, Heidi?
I'd say probably Squirrely Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say the same.
I gotta go with the Skids because, like I said, they're I understand.
They were weird though in this
They're
episode.
weird, but
but you start to see there's more.
True.
Of it.
Devin did so basically the actor. Yeah, basically I'd never seen The Social Network, but I knew
Right.
what basically he was imitating just from those scenes. Like
Yeah.
I knew that's what. So he did a very good job with that.
He was on point. I mean, and just the way they
But I credit that more to the actor than the character.
True. No, yeah, I understand that. But I mean, I think I just like those characters just because they're so odd and awkward. But the thing I like about Letterkenny is each group, they're tight. They're always together. And then even the greater community, even when at the end of the day, they all go to Modine's and grab a puppers. Yep. So it's I think they know they're a family all the way around. Yep. That's what I think. Any new terms learned during this episode?
Besides Alabama Hot Pocket.
I take any notes of new terms.
Yeah, I don't think I had any. Yeah, I think Alabama Hot Pocket would be just about it. I mean,
It's kind of difficult to go back and watch a show that you've watched a lot and then try and find the new things that have come up in the episode because you've now heard them so much by watching 6 seasons of it that, we're in season 1, episode 3 that we're talking about right now. They probably did say a number of things for the first time, but we didn't notice it because we've all watched it a number of times. So I guess, do they still do things like Nielsen ratings?
This is my third time watching this specific episode.
Yeah.
Theories from this. What do you think?
Well, like I was saying before, my theory is that when they were writing, they were like, I can't figure out how to fit this story into it. Let's just make it a one-off.
So you think they had pieces of a story and then just threw it into an episode?
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt like to me. Like it
When
didn't
did
feel
the
like
Social Network come out?
Oh God, probably like
I
4 years ago.
it was before that.
Yeah.
It was long before that.
Okay.
But because this was 2016 was this episode.
Yep.
This wasn't like 5 years ago or more, whatever year that was. I can't even remember now.
But yeah, I mean, I think
Social Network.
I think they're definitely trying to make a statement about.
Yeah, 8 years ago.
Yeah. So I think they were definitely trying to make a statement about social media and how basically everything that people put on social media is just as good, may as well be farts.
Yep.
So I think that's really what the message of this particular episode was, and that's how they filled it out.
Yep.
What do you think there, Heidi?
Yeah, I think that's probably a valid point.
Yeah. Usually I say, who would you fight? There was no fights in this episode. Fight, fuck, or fart on. Wayne.
Fuck. You're making his
You
face.
glitched out for part
Okay.
of that, and I think it might have been my
So-
brain trying to avoid this.
Fight, fuck, or fart on. So I'm going to give you the characters. Wayne.
Oh God. Probably fuck.
Okay. Katie.
Fuck.
Fuck.
Derry.
In,
Derry just seems like it'd be fun to fight when he's sober.
by episode 3, what you know about him, I would probably fart on him.
All right. Squirrely Dan.
Fuck.
You'd fuck Squirrely Dan?
I'd fuck Squirrely Dan. I feel like it would be a lot of fun.
Really, Dan.
Well,
the later episodes,
Squirrely Dan is he definitely
we'll
gets
get into that
experimental.
later.
I know. We'll get into
Yeah.
that. We'll get into that. You're right. You're right. With
Even if
just
I'm
this
not with
episode,
you on the show, I will be talking to you as I listen to the show.
Okay, Riley and Jonesy, because you get them together.
No, I don't
they're
want
a
them together.
They're a package deal.
okay, I'm not really attracted to blondes, so damn it,
They're a package.
Why are they
They're
doing a
always
package?
a package deal.
I'd
You
say
know it.
fight.
All right,
because it's go time.
let's go time.
It's go time. Donnybrook time.
Let's have a Tilly.
I don't know. I've got big city titties.
Yeah,
Big City Slams.
Big city slams.
that's what they like about you.
Yeah.
Stuart.
As of
Stuart,
episode 3.
We're looking at this episode.
As of episode
Yes.
3, I would fight him
Fight him. Okay.
because he's gross and he's
I'd say fart on.
meth head. And
Fart. You say fart on him?
Fart.
Okay.
Fart.
Devin.
Fart.
fart.
Gail.
I feel like Gail would be amazing to fuck.
Right? I keep thinking that, but then I also am like, I don't know if that would be too much for me.
Yeah,
she's a
But I
lot.
also don't want to fight her.
True.
Yeah, that's what I said in the last
Also-
episode. She's wily.
Also, farting on her might be her kink.
Oh God, it kind of sounds like it might be.
She's
Yeah.
got lots of kinks, I think.
Same with Glenn.
Glenn. So Glenn.
Fart on him. He would like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a fart on.
Dean. What about you with Glenn?
Because
Because he'd probably like to be your friend.
he probably would. He would treat me to some Valencia. I think I'd have to fart on him. Like just
He'd still like that.
he'd like that, but then he'd be go away, and then I wouldn't have any Glenn on me. So anything that stood out or surprised you? No, nothing.
No.
I think it stood out that
No,
this
there's
was.
just.
It was so one-off. It was a non sequitur.
Yeah, it was an off episode. So
It was off, and I mean, like I said, I enjoy the show.
Oh yeah, even in this episode where it was fart humor throughout, there are still things that I enjoyed about this episode, and that tells me that I like this show.
Right.
Because if this was a show that I just kind of was like about, and watching that episode, I would be like, no. To be absolutely honest with you, but that's me. I am uncomfortable around things like that, just like Wayne. Not around that like with people in my house, but just as it's one of those social norms that I was talking about earlier. Oh, and that brings me back to the theory that I kind of had earlier.
okay,
Like, I do wonder pretty hard if Wayne is on the spectrum because he is so rigid about his ideas of how social norms should be.
Right.
And he does not like to vary from his plan. He does not like to, he's got
like me. I don't
There's
like-
a thing
yeah. go
that
ahead.
actually just brought up. Wayne and Curtis have a lot in common.
Ah.
Yeah, Curtis is that person I'm married to,
Okay.
who does not like to fart in front of me, burp in front of me. You change plans, it's very not good.
Yeah,
Ah.
I have a hard time with plan changing as well.
He does not like to share a lot on the internet.
That I don't care so much about.
Well, we don't have to talk about that right now.
Oh,
We don't have to talk about that on air, Heidi.
that's what we liked about you, Dean. But yeah, no, it's actually funny that you mentioned that, TR. 'Cause I'm like, yeah, that's look.
Yeah, it might be a thing. Might be a thing there. Yeah.
All right. Final thoughts. Final thoughts of this episode.
Everyone should watch it, even if they don't like body humor, because it is an episode that is a part of the lexicon of Letterkenny.
Well, I think it
And-
builds
Just power through it. Just
Yeah.
power through
Well,
it.
you
Just
I
power
think
through it.
I
I like
think
that.
you get. I think it's definitely more. There's it kind of goes to the introduction more of the skids, especially Stuart.
It showed them as more than just meth heads, that they were actually really brilliant.
Right.
They just are kind of psycho because they're
They're on drugs.
on drugs, yeah.
I don't know if I go as far as brilliant.
I can't do what they did in 24 hours. Could you do what they did in 24 hours?
Fair point.
There you
To
go.
be fair.
To be fair.
But I'm also not a programmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 24 hours is still pretty quick to crank out a whole fucking website. I'm still working on this one. Anyway, so that ends the Fartbook episode. Heidi, is there anything that you would like to give a shout out to or play? I know you're not in a podcast or doing anything, but if there's anything you'd like to shout out or say hi to or whatever.
I don't know.
You got nothing?
All right.
Any podcasts you're listening to aside from this one?
Aside from this one and aside from Podskier.
Yeah.
We know you like us. Do you like other people too?
Yes, but I haven't really been listening to other shows yet. And you've given me way too many that I want to listen to
All right.
from
Yep.
Podskier
All right.
that I haven't gotten around to listening to.
All right, then.
You're forgiven.
Sorry.
It's okay. All right. Well, Heidi, thank you for joining us. You were lovely,
Thanks.
as always,
Oh, thank you for having me.
of course. And we will have you on again. What's, just real quick, what is your, just so we know, what's your favorite episode so we'll know to have you back for that episode?
I have to look through the episode listings again.
Okay.
I know we talked about doing the rave episode.
Mm-hmm. You don't have
And
to
I
do
kind
that
of
one.
like bits of that, but I'll
Okay.
go through.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, thank you again. And we will have you on for your favorite episode. All right.
I think next time on How Are You Now, we're having Brian, right?
Brian McLaughlin from Common Ground Football Podcast and
the No Subject.
and No Subject Podcast.
Yes.
He does both. And he's been a guest on Podskier as well. So he's very excited. So yeah. So join us next week for a new edition of How Are You Now? Welcome to fucking Letterkenny.
Oh, great dog, burn that freeway down.
Thanks for listening to this episode of How Are You Now? Find us on podskier.com/HowAreYouNowPodcast or wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on Twitter and Facebook at How Are You Now Pod. Also, a big thank you to our good friend Jack Rainwater from Hard Money Saints for our intro and outro music. Check them out on Reverb Nation for deets and schedules.
Packing out